Anambra Monday episode. Today is the 8th day of May 2023, and we're so delighted to be counted amongst the living this morning. It's a beautiful day the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. My name is Nonya Nwokoye, welcoming you to our show today. Remember, it's packed with press review and other discussion programs. But let's begin with a press review. You're welcome. To have you on press review this morning, the Monday episode. On the show this morning, we've been joined by Solomon Vincent Ono, a public affairs analyst, and of course, Choka Uzezie, also a public affairs analyst. Welcome to the studio, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Nonya, and viewers, you're welcome to the show.
All right, let's begin. We start by taking a look at stories making their headlines on ABS website this morning. Father's Sunday, clerics task fathers on family responsibilities. Bishop Ezofo urges ministers of God to uphold teachings of salvation. And Anambra Deputy Governor Ibezim commends churches for supporting government to actualize vision. Before we look into the details of this story, I would like to let you know that this program is audience participatory. When the time comes, you have the opportunity to use the phone lines on the screen to make your own opinion count this morning. All right, let me begin with you, Vincent. What's your take on some of the stories rolled out here? Yesterday was actually Father's Sunday, specifically for the Roman Catholics. But fathers are fathers everywhere. So what's your take?
Yes, it's an amazing time. Yesterday was amazing. Father's Day, and looking at what clerics told fathers on their responsibilities. Now, it's very important. The role of the father in the society is something that cannot be looked down upon. And celebrating fatherhood yesterday, it was an amazing time. In my church, we had a great time also in service yesterday, and amazingly, the responsibilities of fathers, the rate at which fathers are having high BP these days is something else. And obviously, because the role of the fathers is demanding, is actually demanding, and it's important that all fathers come to the realization that there is a lot that is needed of them to move our society, because the family is the bedrock of every society. And being a father is a very important responsibility.
All right, Chuka.
Well, it seems most of the major flash points of ABS centers on what I call spirituality. So if I may still go with the bishop, I think
Ezofo, any minister support teachings of salvation.
Upholding teachings of salvation. And then you see also the deputy governor commensurate for supporting government for actualizing. So it borders on the church and the spiritual support for society. So I think Anambra State at this point, as Nigeria needs some saving. Families need saving, the society needs saving, the governance needs saving. So it's still a call to every one of us, and not just fathers, to rise up to their responsibility, but also as we are calling, as the deputy governor is calling on the populace, calling on the church to support them. We are also calling on leaders to also lead from the front, because as in Ndewuna Tabala, So when people who are entrusted with much are doing things in certain way, I think most of the public will also in their little way be replicating or resonating what they're also doing. So I think they have more resources to show us how to do it, especially when the society is hard pressed to even survive.
All right, let's move on to the first paper for review this morning. The Daily Sun newspaper, stories making their headlines. On the banner headline there, we see Southeast senators demand Senate president seat, with riders hinge claim on justice, fairness, equity. Advise Tinubu against adopting current government's policy on excluding zone from power equation. APC Senate caucus splits. My last moment with Umaru Musa Yar'Adua to write, talking. Herdsmen kill husband, wife, 5 others in 3 Benue communities. Sudan crisis, 1,471 Nigerians arrive Abuja. With a rider there, ACF hails Air Peace and federal government. Fuel subsidies, 6 lakh queries, $800 million World Bank loan for Nigerians. Aircraft tire burst into flames on landing at Abuja Airport. NSIB probes incident. Also, we have the PDP alleges plot to influence presidential election tribunal. Accident on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway claims 3 lives. And we can equally see these pictures. The one on top says Senate Chief Whip Dr. Ojozo Carlo, 5th right. Senators Osita Izunaso, 4th left. Victor Ume, 3rd right. Ifeanyi Oba, 4th right. Tony Nwoye, 2nd left. Kelvin Chuku, right left. Senators elect Osita Ngo, right. Pesi Ndobeze. I think these are senators that start for the meeting, demanding for Senate president seat. All right, let's run. Chuka, let me start from you. Which story are you looking at?
Let me start with the Southeast senators' demand, because I think that's what we catch the fancy of most Southeasterners.
Even a burning issue.
Yeah, and if you look at the power equation as it stands now, you find out that if we don't get the Senate presidency, then it means that Southeast once again is being pushed out of the power equation in Nigeria maybe for the next 4 years or probably more. So I think if equity should be done, already we know that Southeasterners have been meted out with serious imbalance from what ongoing is political in the country, coming out from the background that the zone presidency to the south was once again denied the Southeast, and now that a Southwesterner is the president-elect, if inaugurated definitely this May, that the Northerners also are agitating that if the presidency should come south, that they should hold the third place. Already they are holding the 2nd place. And if you look at the outgoing government, they held the 1st place, they held the 3rd place. The 2nd place went to a Southeasterner, that's the deputy vice president. So this time around, I think if Nigeria really wants the Southeasterners in this union called Nigeria, I think naturally it should go to a Southeasterner. It wouldn't change anything, even if we are anticipating any other outcome from the election tribunal. It wouldn't still change anything, because we have a northern president, and we also have a northern Senate president.
All right, can we look at the PDP alleging plot to influence presidential election tribunal? Can we look at that?
Okay, influencing election matters is not
It's not new.
It's not new. God bless you for helping me with that word. It's not new. And such allegations and counter allegations, looking at what has been going on and some of the things that the president-elect, so to say, you know, when you look at during the period when they were doing their primaries, we saw the display, we saw what's played out, and obviously people, let me not call his name, but the president-elect, that time we saw what was happening. It was like a marketplace where they were trying to get people to, like, buying the votes of those who needed, the delegates that time. The same thing happened. We saw what was going on, so many videos before the election. Now it is tribunal time, and still, of course, PDP has to voice out what they are thinking of, and of course, APC normally would tell us that it is not true, and it's not a new thing for us in Nigeria. Influencing election, tribunal influencing election results. It's not a new thing in Nigeria, actually.
But there's something I always say. You see, PDP was there for 16 years. They had the opportunity of strengthening the institutions. They had the opportunity of strengthening individuals working in these institutions to the extent that they can't be influenced by other people or in other institutions. They didn't do that.
Or even make them independent
yes, so they are now reaping and the same thing I'm telling APC now. They are there for 8 years now. They might be there for some other time. If they don't strengthen this institution, and by any stroke of luck or any outcome, another party takes over that, let them not come out to the public and start crying foul. They have the opportunity now to get things right so that the right thing should be done for anybody. So that's that. So I think the people who are suffering this scenario is you and I, who are supposed to benefit from governance.
When two elephants are
yes,
fighting.
exactly. So
okay, let's run. The new national star is next in our lineup. Let's see stories in front of the new national star. Presidential poll. Fireworks expected as election petition tribunal begins sitting today. We tried as the PDP accuses Tinubu APC of plots to influence election tribunal judgment. Why tribunal can't decide election cases before May 29. That's coming from Keyamo. All right, we have Atiku Obi Makinde Ayu reunite at Doyo Diri father's burial. Also Lalong, why northern governors agreed to power rotation. Access Bank to acquire 51% shares in Angolan Bank. Senate President, Southeast Coalition roots for Carlo urges Tinubu to use position to integrate zone. 1 dead as FCT police raid kidnappers then rescue 58 hostages. DSS, other security agencies meet in Abia, call for peace in Southeast. Confusion in APC as Tinubu's choice of Akpabio, Jibrin, Abbas, Carlo unsettles lawmakers. And FMBN plans 50 million naira housing loan for senior civil servants. 144 passengers, 6 crew safe as Max Air crash lands at Abuja Airport. Nigerian Ndukwe elected first African councillor in Derby, United Kingdom. All right, well, let me come to you. You start with the stories.
One of the things I want to talk about is the confusion in APC as Tinubu's choice of Akpabio, Jibrin, Abbas, Carlo unsettles lawmakers. Now we see that we just have barely 25 days or so to the inauguration of new leaders in the House, and still up to now, over 10 different lawmakers are vying, that is in the APC, are vying for the position of the Speaker. In the same party, that means they can't even come together, and this is what I see. I don't see them being united. And if you are not a united front, that's, you can't decide that this is the person to lead in the party when you are the majority. You can't even decide who. Okay, let's say this person, go and be our head. You see the division going on even in their own party.
A house divided against itself
cannot stand.
But I won't quickly agree to that, because one thing you know is that Nigeria is a place where the winner takes it all. All right, so everybody wants to be the supreme commander of that Senate. So you don't blame any of them until somebody gets that, every other person will align behind the person. So they want to call the shots as far as the National Assembly is concerned. So I think that is what is at play now. I wouldn't see that as a division. Everybody believes that they are first among equals, and you don't blame that. No constituency is less than the other. In fact, if you are a senator representing my own senatorial zone and you didn't vie for that, I will question you when you come back. Yes.
If at all they have town hall
once you are qualified,
if they have town hall meetings, that's the only place
if you tell us you are, if not, I will vie for the same position next time. It doesn't matter how far it goes. Yes, and that is the way it stands. So I think every Nigerian is qualified, if you meet the minimum requirements of the law, to be a Senate president as it stands. So I think we leave it with them until the whole thing goes, and then if they don't align together and work as a party, that's when we start envisaging division among them. But as it stands, I think that's normal. They are still competing for that one slot. So and I believe that the best among them will emerge for the sake of Nigerians.
All right, the Punch newspaper is next. Let's see stories coming from the Punch newspaper. Asset declaration: CCB tells Tinubu others to submit forms before May 29, with riders there. Asset declaration ongoing in 36 states. No swearing in without form submission. CCB. Bureau says defaulters risk removal from office. 40 Ogun politicians obtain forms. And fuel-laden tanker crashes, grounds Lagos-Ibadan Expressway traffic. That's the picture we are seeing in front of the Punch newspaper. FGL lifts 888 Nigerians from Egypt, plans more evacuation. Osime from Lagos street hawker to Serie A goal king. Congratulations to him. Passengers stranded, flights grounded as FG shuts Abuja runway. And also in front of the Punch, we see subsidy removal. Nigerians may spend 8 trillion naira on petrol in 6 months. Protest as Northwest backs Akpabio for Senate presidency. My ordeal with aggressive breast cancer. Desiana speaking. Ozo.
Okay, I think I will look at the plight of Nigerians being evacuated from the crisis-ridden, countries. So first of all, I want to thank the Anambra State-born entrepreneur who, Onyema, who of the Peace Airline, who, gave out his airline and planes to evacuate Nigerians who are willing to be evacuated. We want more Nigerians who behave like that. In fact, we want more leaders to behave like Onyema, who will sacrifice their own interests for the interests of other Nigerians. Kudos to him. We also want Nigerian government to step up their game. We know we have consulates in most of these countries. They should rise up to occasion and not just being, economic drains on our common patrimony, but at this their moment, rise up and, protect our other Nigerians who are in diaspora, who even might have left Nigeria because Nigeria is not working for them, to help them, protect them, help them find their footing again, and if possible, get back to Nigeria safely and sound. Also, for the what looks like safety issues in the airline, now that most of the roads are unsafe in Nigeria, I know that most Nigerians who, not because they are comfortable with the airfares, are using air routes for moving even short distances in Nigeria. Now, concerns about safety of airplanes, and I hope this is not a continuous occurrence. Let it just be a happenstance, and whichever agency is responsible for air travel safety should step up their game so that people, what we used to witness in the past, multiple crashes and accidents, shouldn't come back and compound our already humongous problems in the country.
All right, the program is Press Review on ABS Television. There is a phone line on the screen with which to call and make your own opinion count on any issue you feel you're interested on the show. Now let's move to the Daily Independent newspaper. Stories making their headlines in front of the Daily Independent newspaper. 22.7 trillion naira Ways and Means loans securitization seen as mixed bag. We also see Serap sues federal government over failure to recover double pay from ex-governors. Oshimbaja flags off Imo's Oguta Orashi River dredging Thursday. At last, Buhari inaugurates Dangote refinery May 22. Villagers panic as Zamfara bandits relocate to Katsina. Arewa Consultative Forum kicks against Akpabio as Senate President. 144 passengers cheat death as Max Air flight crash lands in Abuja. Right there, NCAA and SIB deploy officials. We also have Kenyan President Ruto dispatches special envoy to Tinubu, and the NLC disruption of aviation activities illegal. That's coming from Fan MD Babalakin. Agency seeks federal government's protection against mob action. And finally, in front of the Daily Independent, there we see the story. Presidential election, PDP raises the alarm over alleged plot by APC to influence tribunal. The last hope of the common man. Let's see. All right, which story are you looking at?
I really want to go back to the issue of Max Air.
Okay.
Yeah, it is really tragic. It's really tragic. Just like he had mentioned earlier, I have a friend who works there, and I had one who had the experience in this.
Okay.
The recent happening. It's not funny. Like, God. She's the lady she works as an air hostess also in this flight, and the experience was really they cheated death, and God really saved them. Now, but look at what is really going on. Like he mentioned, people no longer trust the roads because of kidnappings and banditries and everything, and now they want to use airlines to safely go to their destinations, and we are still having issues. We used to have these issues years back, and they are coming up again. It means that something is going on. Some checks need to really be done. Like it is important. In fact, it's an emergency. These things are emergency because the demands for air travel now in Nigeria has gone up, and it shouldn't now expose the issues that we are having with our airline transportations. It's really an important thing to check what is really going on and ensure that Nigerians are safe.
Any story to
Yes, the issue of Serap sues FG over failure to recover double pay from ex-governors. That gladdens my heart, and I think they should expedite action on this. It is criminal for someone who maybe have led the state for upwards of 4 to 8 years to be taking pension from the same state, and now maybe as a senator be taking emoluments from the same common patrimony, while a lot of pensioners are struggling to get their pensions. A lot of teachers, a lot of public servants are yet to get months and months backlog of their salaries. It is criminal. It's only in a banana republic that we can have that kind of stupidity and criminality. Please, the judiciary to come to the help of the common man. Serap, kudos to them. They should do more of such things. And then that also brings me back to the last paper we looked at, issue of politicians collecting their asset declaration form from Code of Conduct Bureau. Please, I think this should be a top priority so that we monitor what they have now, what they will have in the next 4 years, and see who is dealing with Nigeria or who Nigeria is dealing with.
This is where accountability should
come in.
Because this is not the first time we're having a new government. Yes. This is not the first time people are going to collect, asset declaration forms, and after that, one thing is collecting the forms, then the next thing
Making it public.
is-
You know, there's a bill about.
You know, these things, if you say sometimes you hear this news,
Yeah.
you won't hear anything
About
again.
it later.
Even when the people leave office, nothing again.
You see.
So we have accountability people in Nigeria. What actually are they doing?
I think they should work more on this accountability
Because it's their
issue.
responsibility.
That's true.
When
People should be
they pick the
accountable.
form and fill it now, it should be made public.
Very much.
Then, towards the tail end of their stewardship, they should also make a declaration of their assets as it stands, so that the people who know them better will also confirm that this is.
You know why I'm saying this? When we do this, I think Nigeria will start getting better by
Definitely,
this.
that
Because
is
even
it.
civil servants, I remember one time we were asked to go and do that. And we all went to the ministry to do that. Then one thing is doing it, then what follows?
That is it.
What follows?
It's failure of public institutions to really do what they ought to do. And if you look at the back of this, when you pay peanuts, I said this earlier before the program, you get monkeys. When people are poorly paid, they willfully avert what ordinarily should have been their work. What will they benefit from it? So they only do what.
Things should start running fine in this country if we say we want a better Nigeria.
The tenure is about to end.
If-
Can we make reference to the assets declared when they started?
That is
And
the
now they
thing.
are about to end.
They are about to end. What is going to
Can
Maybe
we
happen?
that-
in the public domain that okay, this is what
And that's the accountability people ask for, and it's not given. And that is
This is
why.
not the first time government is taking over in Nigeria. This will not be the last government to be taking, and government is going to come down on the 29th of May.
For ordinary the members of the public also, will you be comfortable if your husband goes in as a senator or as a member of House of Assembly and you are living in a bungalow maybe in a remote area, and at the tail end of his term after 4 years, you are still living in that low end of the society? Wait,
the truth
because
of
it
the
starts
matter
from
is-
us. That is the truth. If your brother is living as a tenant, as a member of House of Assembly with you, and towards after 4 years he's still living there with you, will you be happy with the person? These are questions we as ordinary Nigerians should also ask ourselves, and that is why we don't demand for accountability.
But the truth remains that if I work as a worker in ABS at this level, and tomorrow I become a house, something must change definitely.
Good.
Except you did not plan well.
But it
Do you
doesn't
think your emoluments for 4 years as a public servant is enough to uplift you? If it is, why shouldn't the emoluments of an ordinary civil servant, an ordinary teacher, an ordinary lecturer, an ordinary government driver do the same for him? That's injustice. That is a question for all of us to answer. That is where I'm standing.
actually where that accountability will
So
help us.
that's-
Yes, it needs to. We need to, at least the way you are today, you should be better tomorrow as
Definitely.
a citizen of this country.
Yes.
You know, but checks and balances should be brought into our livelihood so that it's going to help us tomorrow. If not, we keep finding ourselves where we've been over the years. But let's move on to the next paper for review. This Day newspaper. Let's see stories making their headlines in front of This Day. Dangote, my refinery can save Nigeria $10 billion in forex, generate another $10 billion in exports. We have a rider there, a task incoming administration on public-private partnership. Now on PDP, APC plotting to influence outcome of petitions at tribunal. Badaru to Wike, thank you for helping APC sabotage PDP in Rivers State. Okay, Buhari directs NUPRC to take over supervision of all crude oil export terminals, which right there functions overlap with NMDPRA resolved. 10th National Assembly APC National Working Committee meets today to ratify consensus and zoning, which right as leadership tussle worsens as 68 senators-elect reject deal. Group wants Tinubu party not to plunge cells into crisis. Southeast senators caution president-elect against injustice. ACF dissociates cells from ex-Niger Delta minister's endorsement. Over 143 passengers escaped death as Max Air crash lands in Abuja. And we can see the picture in front of the paper. Obi visits Soyinka with Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka left and Labour Party presidential election. Mr. Peter Obi during the latter's visit to Soyinka yesterday. All right, which story?
I think I'll look to that story about Dangote's refinery being able to
save Nigeria.
I think that's a good one. And the longer awaited refinery, and probably maybe the only functional legal refinery to come online on stream in Nigeria in the past 20 years or more. I think that will be a good example so that our limited resources that we throw away trying to import a basic, substance or product goods like fuel into the country become a thing of the past. No matter the intricacies surrounding it, even if it amounts to a monopoly. But also, people will still ask the question, why is it that up till now, government refused to give out licenses for people to operate modular refineries, which are smaller refineries, and which every other country, everywhere in the world, under the kind of emergency energy emergency Nigerians find themselves is also resort to. If you look at what happened in Europe, when the Europeans, Western Europe had a challenge from energy supply from Russia because of the Russia-Ukraine inbreak, you find out that most of the countries resorted to coal, as a primary source of energy for heating up their houses. And while you find out that while every country is this carbon footprint reduction, that is why they stopped the using coal as their primary source of power and resorted to gas, natural gas. Now with the crisis in Europe, they all went back to coal, and nobody's complaining about that. So nobody should keep Nigeria down when we have an energy crisis, economic crisis, to go the route of modular refineries. Rather, maybe they find a way to reduce the carbon footprint, maybe getting gas compression plants together and gas injection into the national OB3 pipelines to reduce the amount of gas being fled. But then, to solve what is immediate, every economy needs energy to propel it. And in Nigeria, since we have abundance of gas, abundance of crude oil, I don't know why Nigeria should continue to import this basic. Because if you agree with me, energy fuel cost is one single commodity that drives up the cost of every other thing in the country. It's a good thing Dangote is coming upstream, and I think this petroleum law should also be revisited to seed out, if not this exclusivity of energy and petroleum to the federal government alone, to deregulate it further to allow states to take charge of energy solutions.
Okay, before you come in, let's move to the Guardian newspaper. Let's see stories in front of the Guardian. Businesses opt for unconventional debts as interest rate nears 35%. And Osun public education infrastructure in dire straits. Flight disruption in Abuja as Max Air loses landing wheel. Diesel tanker accident worsens gridlock on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Sudan crisis, we slept on floor as bullets killed people on bed. 10th National Assembly revolt looms in APC. Members kick against imposition of candidates. Now, United States justice served in favor of Jaid Adelaku, contrary to allegations of EFCC, amongst others. All right, quickly. Which one are you looking at before we move to the last paper for time?
Let me look at the public education infrastructure.
Okay.
It's in dire straits.
Okay.
This is not a let me see, strange news, a strange thing. public institutions, public educational structures, even in almost every state in Nigeria. It's unfortunate, but certain states like Anambra, things are better, so to say. Let me allow that to the government. But then I remember when I went to school too. I remember the public school my parents put me in. I know how we were, like it was, and still this same thing. Like this is since 1995 or so, when I was in primary school, and still it is still an issue in 2023. Come on now, come on. Are we making progress or what? We are still talking about the structures for people to go to school. Come on.
Okay, let's see the Daily Trust newspaper. That's the last paper, but not the least for review this morning. Aspirants move against Tinubu's anointed candidate. That's a speakership. Aspirants move against Tinubu's anointed candidate. With riders there, what attracted me to President-elect Abbas? We were not consulted, Wase's camp. Endorsement, mere speculation, Gadi. Betara declares today. North Central spoils for fight. NAFDAC raises alarm over importation of banned pesticides from UK. Man beats son to death for stealing 1 mudu of millet. Learn from Sudan experience. NSCIA tells Nigerians. 144 passengers on halt as Max airplane crash lands in Abuja. Now many flights cancelled. Safety Bureau probes incident. 77 trillion naira debt, fuel subsidy, 3 other issues Tinubu will inherit from Buhari. Mixed feelings in Kano over Kwankwaso's statement on Sanusi's dethronement. Tribunal begins hearing Atiku Obi, 3 other petitions today. All right, quickly. I don't know, can we look at it today?
I know it's the tribunal. I think I will go for the tribunal kicking off today. I think most people in the country will have their eyes glued to the big screen. You know,
even before now, they've been crying that the thing should be made live, screened live, while so everybody is interested.
Yes. So every news concerning the tribunal hearing of this will be at the forefront today. And just like everybody and most institutions have been clamoring for, that justice should be done. Let the judiciary not disappoint the ordinary Nigerians at this point. Let the facts speak, so that even if the president-elect won the election, let it be seen by every other person through the facts, through the evidence, and with that, it will put the matter to rest, because he has next 4 years to impress, to revitalize the economy, to impress the masses, to get people to help him, because it's not something he can do alone. And he needs the confidence of the people he's working for. If Nigerians don't give him the needed support, he might be having problems with tax generation, income generation through taxation and other means, and other levels of criminality might also spring up, because when many criminals are, not happy with the economy, they might increase their level of criminality. So I pray that tribunal do the needful and do it quickly, because justice delayed is justice denied.
All right, all eyes on the judiciary, the last hope of the common man. This is where we draw the curtain on the press review. For this morning, we'd like to appreciate you so much, Solomon Vincent Ono. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we also thank you so much, Chuka Uzeze, for being here.
No, I'm glad.
All right, that's it on the press review. More coming up on Good Morning Anambra Show. Do stay.